as befits every Jewish event in history. But we're only starting a little late, which is one mark of success. Another mark of success is the fact that, as many of you know, this event was sold out, and in fact we had several, at least 200 people who wanted to get in and have the seat where you're sitting now, but we had to tell them that unfortunately we could not accommodate them. The reason that we couldn't is because we have such a fabulous group of people who planned this event. Two of them are standing to my left, and I'm going to introduce them both to begin the evening. That is Carrie Lehrman and Michelle Gabay.
Thank you, Rabbi. As the Rabbi said, I'm Carrie Lehrman. I'm privileged to be the president of the Sinai Temple Men's Club. And it really is a privilege to welcome you tonight. What a great crowd. When we planned this event, we never anticipated the response would be as fantastic as this. And I know it's not because of the food. We've all just come through 2 seders, and no one here could possibly be hungry. And we just finished celebrating about the Jews leaving Egypt. And already, now that you're free from Egypt, you want to further your career. So it seems that we waste no time at all as Jews in moving ahead. Tonight's a very unique event. It's really a fusion of the desire and on the part of many even a hunger to learn how do we get ahead in our careers with learning from 10 people who are quite extraordinary, 10 men and women from all walks of life who have done just that. When I say 10, I'm talking about our 9 speakers and of course our own Rabbi Wolpe. And tonight is also quite unique because it's sponsored by 4 Sinai Temple communities. The Men's Club, which I might say is the most dynamic and innovative in the country. We also have, this is our monthly meeting every first Tuesday of every month. And we're also partnered with the Sinai Temple Sisterhood, and I'll introduce Michelle in a second, and Atid. There's a lot of Atid people here today, and we love to see you. And also JNET, and we all have so much to learn from each other. Many people have worked so hard to make this evening come together, and our program lists all the people. I'm not going to mention all of them, but if you were on this on our committee and helped pull this together, would you at least stand so everyone could see who you are? They all worked so incredibly hard. I want to thank my co-chairs, and that's Michelle Gabay, who's co-president of the Sisterhood, and Deborah Weinstein, who's over there. They worked so hard, this evening could not possibly have come off without them. And the staff at Sinai Temple, as usual, have been fantastic. I want to at least call out Judy Bagan, our administrator, Rachel Sontag-Bloom, our director of advancement, Penny Dane, our public relations director, Jorge Garcia, who will be doing our audio-visual recording, and also Alea Slepkov and Mor Petito. All of them really helped to make tonight possible. And also, of course, I've got to thank Rabbi Wolpe for agreeing to moderate tonight's event. When we planned it, we said we need a really special moderator, and there was only one name that was on everyone's lips. Of course, it's Rabbi Wolpe. He's been named the most influential rabbi in America by Newsweek magazine, and he's one of the 50 most influential Jews in the world, as named by the Jerusalem Post, and he's the author of 7 books, including the very recent, critically acclaimed new book, David, Divided Heart. I also have to thank each one of our presenters. All of them are distinguished, highly successful men and women who've agreed to give up one of their very precious evenings to be here tonight to share their insights with all of us. We often begin our men's club meetings with a Dvar Torah, but in the interest of time and moving forward, we're going to dispense with that. But I want to add just a couple words of Torah. Of course, this is Passover, and as is fitting for tonight, I was thinking, what's the defining moment in Moses' life? Well, we know it was not blind ambition, because he was the most humble man who ever lived. And I'm sure it wasn't his realization that his whole life had equipped him for that one moment of leading the Jews out of Egypt. It really wasn't because he was told by God that he had to do it and he had no choice. I think it was something else. I think the defining moment in his life was when he realized that he was not alone. At the burning bush, Hashem assured him that he, God, would be by his side, and that Aaron, his brother, would talk for him. So Moses was assured that he was not going to face Pharaoh alone. And this was, I believe, a defining moment in his life. And it's that way for all of us. Wherever we are in our careers, it's critical that we realize we are not alone. We have family, friends, mentors, guiding us, supporting us, helping us, and even advising us at times. There are people out there who want to help. And we need to reach out to them, to listen to them, to gain experience from them, from their mistakes, and from their insights. We cannot do it alone. Moses did not do it alone. And I think it's a very comforting thought. And the willingness of our speakers to be here tonight is evidence that none of us are alone, as they are here to give advice to everyone in this room. Michelle Gabai, as I said, is the co-chair of tonight's event and co-president of the Sisterhood. And she's going to say a few remarks about the format of the meeting. With this many people, logistics will be a challenge. So I really ask everyone's cooperation so that we can make sure people are able to get dinner, come back, network with our speaker after they have their TED-like moments of presentation. So enjoy tonight, and if you leave with just one idea, one insight that you didn't have when you came in, consider it a great success. So thank you all for coming.
So I just want to let you know a little bit about the format of the evening. First of all, you see that we have 10 tables around the room that each have a sign with the speaker's name on them. If you happen to be sitting at one of those tables now, after we finish our formal presentation, there will be a point when I'm going to divide the room into sections. If you happen to be sitting at a table, a speaker's table, please stay there. If you're in the section I'm sending off to Ziegler Hall for dinner, you're going to get your buffet dinner there and bring it back in here. We're going to have a series of network sessions. So you will get to sit with each speaker for approximately 15 minutes, and then we'll call time. And then you will get a chance to go to another table and talk with another speaker. And you will also get a chance to network with each other because we have such a large crowd. You have a chance to network with people who've come here too. So you will be doing this. Number one, you'll be watching our formal program. Number two, after the formal speakers finish, both Matt Barham from Atid and David Gadesh from JNET are going to come up here and talk briefly about their organizations. They are going to present gifts to our speakers. We are going to have one photo op, and then Matt and I are going to come up here, and we are going to kind of ask you to gracefully either stay at your table, go in to get some food and come back, or network with each other for 15 minutes, and then we'll have you change. So everybody will have time to eat, to network, and to meet a number of our wonderful speakers this evening. The timing? Okay, for our speakers to know, we have 2 timers. They are sitting right at the first table. They have a yellow card for 2 minutes. They have a red card for 2.5 minutes. So then when you see the red card, you have a few minutes to kind of wrap up what you're saying. And you will have more time to talk to people individually at your table. Okay? And we are not going to take questions from the audience after the speakers because you will get a chance to ask those questions when you go to a networking table. So thank you, and right now I'd like Rabbi Wolpe to come back up here.
Before we begin, the Ganuni law firm dropped their checkbook.
I'll take it.
I was going to say, right, exactly. This could make someone a success, unless you decide to claim it. If you don't, just know that I will have your checkbook and your ID. I'm going to introduce our speakers with just a couple of sentences each, But I would like to remind you that even though you are here to hear how people's lives were changed, that you have the capacity in yourself to change other people's lives. And one of the measures of success is not the way in which you have been influenced, but in the way in which you succeed in influencing others. And before I introduce our speakers, I want to leave you with one thought, quoted in the name of various people, that you might contemplate over the course of the evening, which is that everybody has two lives, and the second one begins when you realize you only have one. Our first speaker is Roz Rothstein. She's the co-founder and CEO of Stand With Us. Through a variety of ways, Stand With Us educates the public about Israel, combats anti-Semitism, mobilizes young adults in high schools on college campuses. The Jerusalem Post has named her one of the 50 most influential Jews in the world. Roz Rothstein.
So, good evening. Thank you for including me in the wonderful group of speakers. So, my defining moment. I am the daughter of Holocaust survivors. That's a defining issue. And when the second Intifada began, I realized that the hate training of little children, Palestinian children, was the same as the hate training that we witnessed if you read about how the children were trained, the Nazi youth. If you read a book called Stones from the River, you'll learn more about that issue. And so it was appalling to me, it was quite shocking to me, that people were not aware in 2000, the year 2000, how the hate training mirrored the Nazi hate training before World War II. So I was very concerned, and we actually thought that there would be some leadership in the country between September 2000 and when we started the organization in May of 2001. We were waiting for a voice in the country to rise up and lead for Israel, for the state of Israel, for the Jewish people. And we did not see or hear that voice. It was really deafeningly silent. And so we called an emergency meeting in May of 2001, and all the different organizations, all the wonderful, great organizations, ADL and Federation, and everybody was in our living room. And at that meeting, we realized that it's a matter of mission statement, that there was no organization in existence with the mission statement that we had in mind. And that is why that evening we realized that it's a matter of mission statement. It's what you want to do. It's your passion. It's what you see and what your heart tells you, that you need to take steps and move forward when you realize there's a vacuum, there's an emptiness, and where there is no person, be that person. That's what we realized that evening. And we started an organization from nothing to 18 offices and a $9 million budget, and we're growing as fast as any organization could ever possibly grow. It's like wildfire, and we are working in every realm, from high school to college campuses, social media, etc. So, thank you very much.
If you have ever wondered who makes those roller coaster bead toys in pediatricians' offices, you're now going to meet her. Flora Chesler is the founder and CEO of Anitex Enterprises, which is the leader in creating and manufacturing waiting room toys, which is probably a field that you didn't even know was a field, but in fact, not only is it a field, but here's the person who does it, Flora Chesler.
What a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much, Rabbi Wolf, and it's such an honor to be here. I was 18 when I came to United States. I came to USC, and I was very lucky to be part of a business program that they promoted entrepreneurship. So being involved in that and going through the program, my communication skills wasn't that great. At the end of the session, we had a lot of other professors sitting down, and my communication teacher said, we have to fail her. She cannot communicate. So the head of the program, he believed that if I had the courage to be in the program, and if I had the courage to be part of it, so I could be a success. There is no such a thing as failure. So that was the defining moment for me, being a young student, that there's not such a thing as failure anymore, only success eludes you. That was his code. So that was a defining moment for me, and I was passionate about being able to help people and make money at the same time. I love to make money. So how the roller coaster really came about was about one of my kids was having difficulty to hear, and I kept telling the pediatrician, his doctor, that he cannot hear, and he said, oh, you're a Jewish mom, he's fine. But I got involved in toys and teaching him toys, and he got involved in that, and I thought, what a good thing if I get involved in toys, and toys became my passion, and roller coaster came to life, and that's how it started to become the waiting room toys. So I was honored to be here, and thank you so much.
Andrew Singer was the producer of 30 Rock, which is a show, as you know, based on the politics of a synagogue, and is now producer of the Peabody Award series Portlandia. He's the president of television and Broadway Video, overseeing the company's development and production deals with NBC Universal and Paramount Pictures, and he makes very, very funny, offbeat, creative shows. Andrew Singer. Thank you. So now you know where in the drugstore you should be standing for good things to happen to you. I try to distill it to practical advice. That's my job as the moderator. Rena Strober has starred as Cosette on Broadway in Les Mis, played Seidel in Fiddler on the Roof. She is known for her one-woman shows, which I've had the pleasure to see and enjoy. She's remarkably talented, and I think as the capstone of her career, has also sung here at Sinai Temple. It is my pleasure to introduce Rena Strober.
Shema. No. Shabbat Shalom. No. I just want to see if you'd say it. It's Tuesday. It's lovely to be at Sinai on a Tuesday. Professionals share their defining moments. When I was asked to speak on this topic tonight, my first thought was to stand here for 2 minutes and wait for something to happen, because part of me hopes that those moments are still ahead of me. I've been on Broadway and TV. I've worked with greats like Topol, Dudu Fisher, Theo Backel. I've spent hours with Sid Caesar the year before he passed away. I sang My Funny Valentine to him the morning he passed away. And I thought that was my true defining moment. I then spent Passover with Mel Brooks, and I listened to Monty Hall recite the Shechianu. Wait, was that my defining moment? Being around comic history and Judaism, two things that I know define me, but I never felt defined after those evenings. I felt grateful, humble, like I'd been dreaming, but not defined. What defines me? 6 months ago, I was asked to visit the Academy of Music for the Blind and sing duets with blind children learning music there. I sang with children whose voices came from a part of their souls I didn't think possible in a 5-year-old. And suddenly, for the first time in my life, my own voice felt connected to a deeper part of myself. I sang duets with them, and smiles came across their faces, and in some, their whole bodies shook with excitement. And I was feeling the same thing. 2 months later, I was asked to be the voice teacher at the Academy of Music for the Blind. And at first I said, no, I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. Teaching kids 4 to 17 years old with no sight, I can't do that. But something inside me said, try, and I did. And I'm here to tell you that in that moment, that 11-year-old Katrina says, Miss Rena, I want to learn God Bless the Child because I hear pain in Ella's voice, and it's a pain that I know. And 6-year-old Gavin says, Miss Rena, can we sing Time to Say Goodbye? Did you know that Andre Bocelli is blind and I can sing like him? If he can do it, I can do it. Or Nathan, who says, I'm blind, but I see with my voice. And I have an 8-year-old student, Jocelyn, who only wants to sing Johnny Cash because she's moved when she hears his low, raspy voice. And their parents email me daily telling me they'd never seen their child so happy, singing so loudly from a part of themselves they didn't think possible. And that for that moment, they forget their disability. These children are defined by the world, by their blindness. But because of this academy, they're also now defined by their musical talent. And the moment I realized I could help them through music, using my voice to help them discover their voice, through allowing them to bring their hidden fears and joys into their singing, that was a huge defining moment for me. For my birthday 2 weeks ago, my 21st birthday, I decided in lieu of a birthday party, I would throw myself a concert and fundraiser with my students to raise money for their school. And they stood on stage with me and they sang their hearts out and they belted out solos and to standing ovations and to not a dry eye in the audience. And their laughter and voices helped raise $4,000 for their music school. And now, I see your red card. Oh my God, it's so nerve-wracking. Okay, she lifted it already. I'm now part of a world that I never thought I'd be in, going from Broadway to being a teacher for blind children. They've taught me so much. They've taught me that we don't see only with our eyes and we see with our voices. And I also think that everyone here also sees with their voice as well. So thank you very much.
Mark Vidergrass has had a long and very successful career. He is now the CEO and Managing Director of the Sage Group, which is a boutique investment bank. At Sage, he advises public and private companies, as well as private equity firms, on corporate finance transactions. He is also active in various charitable organizations, and I had the pleasure of being with him when he was honored as the Man of the Year from Hebrew University, Mark Vidergrass.
Good evening, and thank you very much for allowing me to be part of this evening's presentations. I grew up in South Africa, and one of my defining moments was moving to the United States. I went to law school, and in South Africa, most Jewish young men are brought up to be doctors, and a lawyer is defined as a Jewish young man who can't stand the sight of blood. And I kind of followed the usual course of large corporate law and then moved into investment banking. And I think my defining moment was probably a discussion I had with my father when he said to me, you know, sometimes a good job really can ruin someone because it gives you a sense of security. And it is you're in a situation where you won't take any risks and you don't necessarily fulfill your full potential. And so this kind of stuck with me, and I decided to try to start an investment banking firm on my own. I went out with an idea. Being in the United States, I was able to raise capital from some very prominent people in town. And we built an investment banking firm, and this is 15 years on. We of all things, specialize in branded consumer products and in particular in apparel for a bunch of guys who frankly don't like to shop. It's an unusual area to be focused on, but it's the area we started out with nothing. We sat around and I received a call from a friend of mine at a very large investment banking firm who said that he had an apparel deal and would we be interested in working on it. Since we had absolutely nothing else going on, I said yes, we would, and we met with the people. And subsequent to that, we've been involved in some of the most prominent branded consumer deals in the country, frankly, on both the West Coast and the East Coast. And we're now working on a number of transactions in Europe. We just got back from Paris. We have 2 transactions. So I would say that my defining moment was the discussion, certainly from a business standpoint, was the discussion I had with my father, who said that, sometimes a good job can ruin you, and you should have the courage to go out and try and do something on your own. So thank you very much.
So first of all, I hope you took from that those of you who do not currently have good jobs are in good shape because you are unruined. Seriously. That could be the defining moment. Peter Fetterman was a filmmaker and collector, and then he decided to create the Peter Fetterman Gallery, which specializes in modern humanist and documentary work. And his gallery now has one of the largest collections of classic photography in the United States. Peter Fetterman.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a great honor to be here. I was born in London in a shtetl, in a kind of really poor tenement. And my way of escaping that was to go to the movies, was to kind of pay 10 cents and sit in the gods in the theater, or to go to museums to imbibe beauty that wasn't in my life. And I started making some independent films in England. I struggled. And I thought I was always had the allure of Hollywood. I came here in 1979, and I had $2,000 to my name. And I was, struggling. I was driving a car basically without any brakes. And I went to a dinner party, and this changed my life, this little dinner party. It was hosted by a photographer, and there was a small collection of photographs. And it turned out that this guy also collected expensive cars, and his wife was saying, you can't buy another vintage car until you sell some of these photos. And I was totally absorbed by one image of these praying women in India. And I knew nothing about photography. I just went on an instinctive basis. And I asked the guy, you're selling these? He said, yeah. How much is that? I said, well, it's $400. And I had $2,000 to my name. I said, I'm going to buy this photo. And I was up all night. I was sweating. What did I do? The most insane thing of spending, a quarter of my net worth on a piece of paper. But that really awoke in me to the power of photography and the stories that single images tell. And I had a terrible experience producing a film for MGM with Pavarotti. It was a big hit in the airlines, but not on the earth. And the great thing about your country is that you can change your life. And I decided I wanted to be in control of my own taste, of my own creativity. And I couldn't do that in the milieu of the entertainment business, where you always have to beg for money. So I set up my little gallery in the back of my car, in my little Honda, in my rent-controlled apartment, and it led me to meet the most amazing, great artists in the world, who I have the great honor to now represent. So my defining moment is that success is getting something that you need, not necessarily what you start out wanting. So I leave you with that thought.
Elad Ferber, before co-founding Echo Labs Incorporated, which is a data company, had a distinguished career in the Israeli Air Force. He's a graduate of Talpiot, which is an elite technological unit in the IDF in the Israel Defense Forces. And now, as the co-founder of Echo Labs, runs a lab whose data capability provides real-time feedback to enhance athletic performance. Elad Ferber.
Hi, thank you. So this is a story from Israel back in a time when I was a lieutenant in the Air Force. And one day the department chief, which was like maybe 3 ranks above me, called me into his office and told me, "You look to me like a real creative guy, you know, maybe the craziest person we have around. I'm sending you to this special project." And I didn't know if that was a good or bad thing, but I went and I came into this facility, to this military facility, where there were around 50 people from all around the IDF who were very creative and selected for that purpose. And a very senior general walks into the room and tells us, "You know what? You have 1 month. In that month, you need to forget your previous roles. You have unlimited resources and you can build whatever you want." We were like, "What? Okay." That was crazy. I was in the IDF where things were planned several years in advance. Every dollar, you couldn't move right or left. And that night I couldn't sleep. What am I going to do? Unlimited resources, as long as I finished the work in 1 month. That was crazy. Would I build a jetpack, or a self-driving hovercraft, or a robot that can fight instead of people? That was really, really crazy. And you know, 1 month later, when that month ended, we had our projects done. Among them, we had a jetpack, a self-driving hovercraft, and my project was a big robot that identifies humans and throws tennis balls at them. Well, that was the initial project. And I felt that in the first time in my life, I had the freedom to dream. And the funny thing that I came to realize is that, you know, those projects weren't very expensive actually. So it wasn't the resources maybe that tied me from doing things that I could really think that I could stand behind and do. So what was it in that event, in that moment, that allowed me to go out and do those things? I really found out at that event that what limited me was only myself. And that if I have the vision and clarity, people will follow and resources will follow. And that's why, you know, right after the military, I worked in Space IL, which sends a lunar lander, for 2 years. I was a chief architect of the space vehicle. And now I founded Echo Labs, which we're trying to really change the way medical research is being done. And so I think this defining moment really switched kind of something in my mind from, oh, maybe I can't because I won't have the money or the people, into, you know what, I'll give it a shot. That's me. Thank you very much.
Dr. Fariba Fischel-Gotzian holds academic degrees in science, business, and engineering. But she could only get them from Harvard, Oxford, MIT, and Technion, so you shouldn't be impressed. She's now the Chief Investment Officer of Daphne Capital Management, which is an investment fund that focuses on biotechnology and medical device companies. Dr. Fischel-Gotzian.
Thank you, Robert Goldfield. Well, so I think, I know we are supposed to talk about defining moments, but I think most successful professional careers do not center around one defining moment. As Steve Jobs said, you can only count the dots in your life looking backwards. So I will try to talk a little bit about my professional life and how it evolved and how sort of the dots got connected. So I started studying chemical engineering because I liked chemistry and math, and I wanted to succeed in a male-dominated field. But it really wasn't until a few years later when they took us to visit the chemical factories in Israel that I realized I really don't like to work as a chemical engineer. And I gravitated and became interested in biomedical engineering. And this was further sparked when I met my husband-to-be, Nathan Fischel, who at the time was a medical student at Technion. So I did my master and PhD and postdoctoral research in the area of biomedical engineering. I did both lab work and computer modeling and simulation of an artificial pancreas. And I started working as a research scientist in a large pharma. But after starting to work there, I realized that I don't really like working in a lab. So I pursued an MBA and moved to the business side. And I would call maybe a defining moment in my life, or maybe really an inflection point in my career, was when I got introduced to Wall Street and started working as a sell-side biotechnology analyst. To me, Wall Street was a real foreign world, but it ended up being a place that I really flourished. It was very fitting to my personality and to my skill. And I was fascinated by the work because I had to analyze the whole biotechnology industry. I had to ask many questions, and as a child, I always drove my parents crazy by asking them many questions. And I was being interviewed by media, by press, had to talk in conferences and met with many fund managers who were seeking my opinion in terms of their biotechnology investments. So in 2002, I got selected as one of the top biotechnology analysts by the Wall Street Journal, and after that, I moved to the buy side. And I joined forces with my husband, Nathan, who had started a biotechnology fund. And we have been managing that fund ever since. And our son, David, later joined us to also expand it into medical devices. So if I would just leave you with an advice, is that try to be aware of the opportunities that come across and be flexible to recognize them, and hopefully they will map the dots of your professional life. And on a personal level, I want to say try to keep a balance between your personal and professional life. Because after all, with all my career moves, I think my biggest success is that I was able to form a happy family and have 3 wonderful children.
Andre Iancu is the managing partner of Arella Manella and has been recognized as a leader in intellectual and patent law. In fact, in 2013, California Lawyer magazine named him as the leading lawyer in intellectual property. He's also an adjunct professor and teaches an advanced patent class at UCLA School of Law and still has his license as a professional engineer. Andre Iancu.
So by this time in the evening, after 8 great speakers, I feel like everything that had to be said has already been said, but not yet by me. So let me try it my way, but I don't think I'll talk about me quite really. Let me tell you about a man named Jim Barton. In the mid-1990s, Mr. Barton was an engineer. In a comfortable career, he was in the middle of his life, in the mid-40s, comfortably married, with a great, comfortable job at a big engineering company in Silicon Valley. But you know, he had a great idea. He had an idea that he wanted to revolutionize television. So the entrepreneurial spirit and the entrepreneurial bug bit him. So he decided to leave his comfortable job and take everything he had and form a company, a tiny company. He took all of his savings, he took all of his wife's savings, and we know that that's the most dangerous thing to do, and he started a company. The company was called TiVo. And the problem was, it was a great idea, nobody had done what they did before. The problem was that it's difficult to penetrate the big, huge television companies out there. They loved his idea, but they didn't want to pay for it. How does a small company like that make it? How does an entrepreneur like that survive? So he tried and struggled, and the company was barely getting off the ground, and they were getting crushed by the big media companies. They came to us, Mr. Barton came and said, "Can you help? I do have a great patent." So we took Mr. Barton and we asserted the patent in litigation against a big company called, at that time, EchoStar. Now it's called Dish. And a great moment in my life was putting Mr. Barton up on the stand on his own to testify against the big media companies. And then after that, we won the case. After that, we tried to get Mr. Barton accepted by AT&T and Verizon and so forth, and nobody agreed. So we filed cases against AT&T and Verizon and Motorola and Cisco and so forth. And overall, by the end of the day, we collected over $1.6 billion for Mr. Barton and his company. Without the work that we do, without the work that I do and for these folks every day, how do entrepreneurs like Atid and others, how do they tell their wives, "Honey, we're going to take every dollar and start a new life"? What's the guarantee? So what I take in my life is the defining moment are each of these interactions. I take on the problems of others and I try to help them. But what defines me every day is that I take on the problems of great people who try to do great things. Thanks.
So I want to give you one reminder and tell you one Hasidic story to wrap up. You heard about people who create a robot, buy a photo, start a bank, make a toy, see a lack in the community, make a daring cold call to a childhood hero, teach a blind child to sing, discover Wall Street, fight for an inventor doing great things. They're inspiring stories, every single one of them. So here's the Hasidic story. The Maggid of Mezrich was a famous Hasidic leader. He took over from the Baal Shem when Hasidism started. And in a small town in Eastern Europe, it was heard that he was coming through the town, and there was a woman who wanted desperately to have a child, but she couldn't have a child, and she heard that the famous Maggid was coming to town. So months before he came, she knit him a beautiful shawl. And when he came to town, she met him in the town square, and she handed him the shawl, and she said, "I made this present for you, and I want to ask you, please make a prayer for me that I'll have a child." And he took the shawl, and he promised a prayer, and a year later she had a child. Well, the story spread all over Eastern Europe. And the Maggid was traveling to another small town where there was a woman also who wanted a child. And so, months before he came, she knit a shawl, and she met him in the town square, and she gave him the shawl, and she said, "Here is the shawl, please pray for me that I'll have a child." And he said, "I will pray, but it won't work." And she said, "Why not? It worked for the other woman." And he said, "Yes, but the other woman didn't know the story." You've heard these stories, but you can't imitate someone else's story. You have to use their lessons to make your story. And if you do that, you'll be a success.
So my name is David Gadish, and I'm the president of JNET here. So my name is David Gadish. I'm the president of JNET here in this synagogue. Now it's kind of hard to stand here in front of you because I'm Jewish, but I'm also blonde, and you know, blondes get confused sometimes. So one thing that happened is I forgot to prepare myself for tonight. So let's see, what can I tell you in 1 minute or less? Well, look around you. Look around you. You are surrounded with amazingly brilliant people. These are amazing people, but around you and at every table, they are right there. And you do not yet know them. You do not yet know what their experience is, what their background. You don't know who they know. And I have done just a few little things in my life that got me here and there. And being blonde, it was mostly because of amazing people around me. So I suggest two things. Tonight, build some additional relationships of wonderful people around you. And then beyond tonight, please join us at JNET. Before you leave, come drop your card at the fish bowl. And we will make sure that you experience what you have experienced tonight on a monthly basis. Come be with us again and again and again and meet wonderful people. Thank you so much.
Shalom everybody, my name is Matt Barham. I am Sinai Temple's Millennial Director, which is a funny title that actually means that I am the director of Atid, our 21 to 39-year-old program, and also our Sinai Temple Teen Center for our teens. So if any of you have teenagers out there, please come talk to me afterwards, but right now, for the next 30 seconds to a minute, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Atid, our young professional group. We in Atid, we've done, I think, a pretty good job of providing a community that will help you be successful and have defining moments spiritually, religiously, socially, even physically. We do basketball and yoga every Wednesday night. Culturally, we provide volunteer opportunities. We have lots of Israel programs. But one area that we haven't focused so much on in the last couple of years is professional development. So what I'm hoping that everybody, all the young professionals in the room, which of course is everybody here, but for all the people who are actually in the Atid age range, what I'm hoping you walk away with is that this is not a one-off event. This is the start of a lot more professional development in the future. David and I just met last week, and we have a lot of new exciting initiatives that we're hoping to announce in the next couple of weeks. And this is just the beginning. And as David said, we at Sinai try and provide community and networking all the time. We have such an amazing, blessed community, and we hope to see you here more often. And I'll end with a quick plug. This Friday is the next Orden Family Friday Night Live. We hope to see all the young professionals who are here tonight there this Friday. Thank you very much. I would now like to call up our co-chairs for the evening. They were Michelle Gabay, Deborah Weinstein, and Carrie Lerman, and also all of our speakers. We have signed copies of Rabbi Wolpe's book about King David for each of you. I'd like to call you each up to present you a book and also to take a quick photo.
In a moment, we're going to invite up our speakers to present the books and also have a photo opportunity. We are also going to adjust our program a little bit due to weather and traffic. Our food has been slightly delayed in delivery, so you will build up a hearty appetite. But after we do our photos, what we are going to ask is, if you are sitting at a table with a speaker sign, and you would like to network with that speaker, please stay there. If you are not at a table with a speaker sign and you see tables like the one over there with a speaker sign with many empty seats, you may sit in all of them except the one reserved for the speaker. If you are not sitting at one of those tables, we are going to ask that you take David Gadish's suggestion and network with the people around you, and we will switch after 15 minutes. I brought my handy phone up to time you. And then as soon as the food arrives, we will start cycling people into Ziegler for food.
All our speakers?
So these books are all personalized. They've been, this is Rabbi Wolpe's book, David, And he has autographed them to each of our speakers, so this is our way of saying thank you.
Give us about 5 to 6 minutes. We'll let you know when you can go into Ziegler for food. But if you start networking now, it will be very helpful.